All right. I think this will work, hopefully. Just need to change the... Make it public. Come on now. All right, maybe this is working. I don't even know how to fucking send the link. I have no idea if chat's gonna work. I have no idea how to fucking do this. Let's see. I have no idea if chat's gonna work. Oh, this is working. They took me down, but they won't take me down forever. That's right. We're just gonna do this. All right, give me a second, please. Sorry, folks. I'm mad, but I'm just not gonna let it bother me right now. I can't let it bother me right now.
Thank you, Governor. Governor Haley.
Go to
All right, we're going
$5 trillion
live.
in debt to continue doing hundreds of billions of dollars. We got to focus on our issues here at home, and we've got to deal with the top threat that we face, which is China.
And then I wonder why you raised the debt when you were in Congress, because we're all paying for that. What I will tell you is this is the lie they're telling the American people over and over again. It is so wrong to say this. They're saying you have to choose between Ukraine or Israel and securing the border. Supporting Ukraine is 3.5% of our budget. I don't want cash going. It's equipment and it's ammunition. If we support Ukraine and Israel, that's only 5%
We're back,
of
baby.
our defense budget.
So
if
you're going
we
to borrow
support,
that?
They
if
can't
we
take us
support
down.
Ukraine,
No, it's
Israel,
100%
and secure the border,
a
that's
bullshit
less than
copyright
20%
strike.
of Biden's green subsidies. You do not have to choose when it comes to national
So I don't know if I'll even upload this video afterwards, but
safe. This is about preventing
whatever.
war.
Well, I'll figure
this is
something
about
out.
keeping our
I need to record,
military men
actually.
and women from having to fight a war, and you only do that when
All right,
you
we're back.
focus on national security, not telling lies to the American people that they have to choose. That is wrong. That's never been the case.
Yeah, I mean that person. It's just a random person copyright striking. They're probably just. It's probably some dumbass conservative 14-year-old going around just claiming copyright strikes. Because this is free.
To an end by bringing Ukraine into NATO. But of course, we're a NATO country. So if you bring Ukraine into NATO, that puts
the Renji Chen kid. Yeah, the person who did it says Renji Chen at some weird email.
As to how you go from there.
It's bullshit.
So they have sent
It's the same issues on YouTube. You could theoretically claim anything on YouTube,
Where some of
and
that money go?
then
They've done tens of billions of dollars to pay salaries.
and most people don't
for
fight
Ukrainian
it.
government
I'm gonna fight it.
bureaucrats.
Don't worry.
They've paid pensions for Ukrainian
This is
retirees
fair use.
with your tax dollars. We've got homeless veterans.
It wasn't like
We
I
have
was
all these
flagged
problems.
for,
This is the UN way of thinking.
you know,
that we're somehow globalists and we have
saying some
unlimited
like, you know,
resources to
saying
do
a
it.
slur or something.
I think here's the
But yeah, they want me to
problem.
do fucking
You can
school.
take the ambassador
The only-
of
I have to
the
do a
United
fucking
Nations, but you
online
can't take the
class
United
to
Nations
remove
as
my
the
copyright
ambassador.
strike. I'm
First of all,
a
I
lot
have
better
never
than a
said
lot of
we
other
should
people.
give salaries
There's
or
literally
benefits or
streamers who get
anything
thousands
to
of
Ukraine.
views
I've said it again
who don't
once, so stop
follow any
lying.
copyright shit.
DeSantis
supported
lies.
the aid
Governor
packages.
DeSantis, she has the floor. So you go, I did not support the aid package.
Classic
I support
Twitch.
equipment
Also on the
ammunition
day
going to
Twitch lays
Ukraine.
off 500 people,
I think it
so
is incredibly important that we're honest and say
maybe
we
it's all
have to
customer
focus
support.
on
Who knows?
national security. Don't go and lie to the American people to make them think we can't do this. You turn around and raise the debt limit. You're the one that's talked about, look at what you did to Florida, but think about the fact that he's talking about where's this money going to come from. The best way to tell about a candidate is to see how they've run their campaign. He has blown through
at least in 48 hours, I should have my stream back at least for CSGO, hopefully. We'll see.
He has nothing to show for it. He spent more money on private planes than he has
Wednesday,
on
right?
commercials
Oh,
trying
no,
to
it might.
get Iowans to vote for him. If you can't manage a campaign, how are you going to manage a country? Which is exactly what...
Well, listen, I'm proud that in the state of Florida, we're ranked #1 for economy of all 50 states by CNBC, #1 for education.
Cost of living.
She was ranked number 50 in
Highest-
education when she was governor of
highest
California.
Yeah, I'm just gonna just
Insurance.
keep streaming like normal right now. I'll try to do a video of it to get. I'll have to combine the two files, but which will delay it going up. But
#1 for talent development, #1 for new business formations, and on it goes. So the success we've had in Florida, I can cite the statistics. It's important. But just look how people are voting with their feet. They're leaving California. They're leaving Illinois, New York.
because if you're banning me, you might as well ban Hassan. You might as well ban multiple other people who are. I can guarantee are streaming this right now.
We've paid
You know?
down
What the fuck is this? This keeps crashing. But I thought it was my internet at first, but I was like, no, everything else is running fine.
for the United States of America.
So thank you. Let's stay on foreign policy. I want to turn to the Israel-Hamas war. You both have said that you unequivocally support Israel. You both have called for the complete elimination of Hamas. Governor DeSantis, there are real disagreements within Israel about how to handle what happens in Gaza after the war against Hamas is over.
If
Some
Gaza,
Israeli
if there's any
cabinet
part of
officials are
Gaza
pushing
left,
for the mass removal of Palestinians.
it told me right away you were
from
suspended.
Gaza.
Yeah.
Governor Haley told CNN last week she does not support that. Do you?
So we got to support Israel.
See what happened to the copyright strike that goes on your account.
Finish the job.
And then that's like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't take down your stream. The fact that it just takes me down is stupid.
This is a time to recognize that they suffered the most deaths of Jews, murder of Jews since the Holocaust. Hamas wants a second Holocaust. They want to annihilate the state of Israel. So I think to be a good ally, you back them in the decisions that they're making with respect to Gaza.
By doing
genocide,
genocide, wiping out 30,000 people
but
now.
for us to be sitting in Washington, second-guessing them, I don't think that's the right way.
Oh, no
We
one's
also have a
one's
disagreement,
second-guessing them in
Governor
Washington.
Haley and
They know
I,
exactly
when
what
she
they're
was at
doing.
the UN, she supported the idea of a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians.
I forget you can do emojis. I just see the 100, 100, 100.
Don't recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. So doing a two-state solution doesn't create something that's going to lead to a lasting peace. It creates a stepping stone for Israel's destruction. So under no circumstances, as president, am I
need
going
to get the
pressure
link for
Israel to
Twitter, I
risk
guess.
their security to do a so-called two-state solution. She was wrong when she embraced that, and we're right to say we trust Israel to make these decisions. They're a good ally of ours. We should trust their judgment on these sensitive issues.
Governor DeSantis, 15 seconds, 15-second clarification. Do you support the mass removal of Palestinians from Gaza?
So as president, I am not going to tell them to do that. I think there's a lot of issues with that. But if they make the calculation that to avert a second Holocaust, they need to do that. I think some of these Palestinian Arabs, Saudi Arabia should take some. Egypt should take some. They've never been willing to accept any of these folks in their own neighborhood.
Thank you, Governor Haley.
Well, first of all, we need to understand the reason we need to support Israel is Israel's a bright spot in a tough neighborhood. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to defeating terrorism. It has never been that Israel needs America. It has always been that America needs Israel. When I was at the United Nations, I fought every day for Israel. And if you would have listened to what I said at the United Nations, a two-state solution wasn't something that was possible because Israel would always come to the table and the Palestinians wouldn't. But right now, we have to make sure that Israel has the support that it needs. There should be three things. Give Israel whatever it wants to get the job done. 2, eliminate Hamas.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And 3,
then Twitch sends me an email. Here's your stream summary.
But it's really rich that Ron is going to act
and it's
like
literally
he's done
my
this
views are
for
going
Israel
up.
when he brought the person to
Cool.
Iowa that's the most
Thanks, Twitch,
anti-Israel
fucking losers.
Republican in the state, the person that went and voted against Israel's right to exist in Congress, the person that voted with the squad against anti-Semitism.
My viewers are
on college
peaking
campuses.
right as
And
it.
you brought that
right as they
person
took me down. Cool.
to Iowa to go and campaign with you. If that's your friends,
Governor
I'd hate to see
DeSantis,
who
she's
the rest
obviously
of your
referring to
friends are.
Congressman Tom Massey from
Yeah,
Kentucky.
I mean, that's just cheap
Yeah,
garbage.
give
But
Israel
here's the
whatever
thing.
they want.
When the attacks
true.
happened against Israel, I knew it was going to be a big deal for Florida. We have one of the largest Israeli American populations in the country, and we've been a haven for Orthodox Jews in particular since I've been governor. And you know what? Biden wasn't helping Americans get out of the war zone. These are people that were stranded. So I did an executive order. We scrambled planes, and we rescued over 700 Americans from Israel and brought them back safely to the state of Florida. You got to step up and you got to lead when things like this are happening. We also have gone
maybe it was a
after
squad
the
of people
anti-Semitism
just mass
on our
reporting
campuses.
or had
We did that
multiple
early
accounts
in
or
my
something.
administration. You didn't see our college presidents doing some of the things that you've seen. I just announced in the State of the State address yesterday or 2 days ago that we are going to say, and not just for Jewish
just love that I
students,
can't
anyone
even-
who's having
I don't even
religious
access
being
to my account, I don't
persecuted
think.
or
Like, at
being
all.
marginalized because of their faith in any
Like, it's just
college
gone?
around the
The whole
country,
account's
we're going
gone?
to waive the transfer requirement so that people can come to Florida
Yeah.
and be safe. What they are doing to these
I'm
Jewish
just-
immigrants
I'm
has
logged
been
out and everything.
reprehensible,
Thank you,
and we're not
Governor.
going to let it happen.
So there are.
So how am I supposed to repeal it?
I'm coming to you. There are growing fears of this war
just
escalating
fucked?
into a broader regional conflict. And Governor Haley just yesterday,
Fucking
the
stupid.
U.S. Navy shot down 21 missiles and drones fired by Iranian-backed militants.
Sorry, I'm
in the
trying to
Red
focus.
Sea.
I should focus.
Iranian-backed
Not get mad.
militants are now also attacking U.S. and Western interests in Syria and Iraq. Your fellow South Carolinian Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is calling for the U.S. to conduct retaliatory strikes inside Iran. Would you order strikes inside Iran?
Well, first of all, notice Ron didn't say anything about the fact that he did bring that most anti-Israel Republican into this state to campaign. He also hasn't told you that the only Republican Jewish state legislator left his campaign because he wasn't dealing with the neo-Nazi marches and wasn't dealing with anti-Semitism properly. When it comes to Iran, what we have to understand, there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would not be Houthis without Iran. There wouldn't be Hezbollah without Iran. And when you look at the strikes that are happening in Iraq and Syria, that is because of Iran. They're pulling the puppet strings. What we need to do is the idea that we've had over 130 strikes on our men and women in Iraq and Syria is unconscionable. We're supposed to have their backs. And Biden has been slow. He's been hiding in a corner, and he hasn't dealt with it. We need to go and take out every bit of the production that they have that's allowing them to do those strikes. It's hugely important that we do that. And you can't do that if you have a Secretary of Defense that is in ICU and the president doesn't even know about it. What bothers me is how does Biden not talk to his Secretary of Defense every single day, knowing that we have a war in Europe, a war in the Middle East, that we have our American military with strikes going on them. We've got brain injuries. My husband is deployed right now. As a military spouse, the idea that the Secretary of Defense would not even be in contact with the president, much less in contact with his staff, is unforgivable.
Governor DeSantis.
After the attacks against Israel, anyone with half a brain knows Iran is behind this. They fund Hamas. They fund Hezbollah. We did a special session of the legislature down in Florida. We expanded sanctions against Iran. If we were our own country, we'd be the 14th largest economy in the world. The root of this is Biden came into office and he relaxed the sanctions on Iran. They've had massive amounts of money flooding into their country, just like under the Obama administration. They take that money and they use it to fund jihad around the world. I'm the only one running for president that served in the armed forces. I deployed to Iraq back in 2007, 2008. So I understand what our military goes through. I would never put our troops in harm's way like Biden is doing in the Middle East without defending them with everything they got. If you harm a hair on the head of one of our service members, you are going to have hell to pay. He's leaving them out to dry, and I think it's disgraceful for a commander-in-chief to do that.
Thank you, Governor. The CNN Republican
if you hurt
from Des Moines, Iowa, will be right back after this. Go to CNN.com.
if you hurt one of our American soldiers, we'll send more American soldiers. Basically. Well, okay, ad for 265 seconds, I guess. I'm just like out of my game now because I'm just like I feel like I missed good chunk of it. I don't know how long. I guess it wasn't that long in between, but I mean, I don't feel like anyone's like really crushing this debate. I mean, I guess DeSantis I feel like is doing better. He doesn't look as razzled, I guess. I mean, he's doing better than I thought he would. Haley just keeps going back to her website, which I think is just it gets. Even if it was a good argument the first time, it loses its sauce once you start, start using it over and over again. So I feel like for me, that's where she's losing. But other than, I mean, no one's really like crushing it for me though. I feel like this is one of the better DeSantis debates we've seen, but he's also getting more airtime than he has in the past because it's just two people. So maybe that's part of it. So I guess in that way, I guess he's winning. He's not, flundering considering the he's getting more airtime, because some people with more airtime they fall apart, right? A good example of this I always point to is Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang used to get 5 minutes at a 2.5 hour debate, and as soon as he started becoming more in the public eye, people realized this guy sucks. He's an idiot. So I guess in a way, maybe DeSantis with more time is doing well. But yeah, Haley is just not hitting for me right now either. I don't know. It's hard with these things, right? Where we've always talked about this as well, where it's like they're all saying shit I don't agree with, so it's kind of hard to say who's winning. But I feel like execution. I think Haley started off strong, but then is now kind of just feeling like she has no really good responses besides saying, "You're lying. Check out my website." When DeSantis kind of seems to be more actionable in what he's saying, he's like, "We're going to do these things so that we can get Mexico to pay for it." Even if I disagree 110% with what he's saying, I feel like he's at least giving some sort of actual substance. When Haley, I can't think of anything right now where she's, I feel like, giving me like a concrete answer. So I guess for me right now, I'm leaning to DeSantis because of that, but not by maybe not by much, because really both aren't really moving the needle for me. But I'm not expecting them to, I guess, at the same time. But we'll see. Wait, do I gotta wait? Has it not gone down when I'm not here? Hold up. 240? Yeah, I don't think it goes. I have to fucking sit here. Oh my god. Yo, CNN sucks. And if it is someone from CNN who took it down, fuck you. But yeah, I don't think I can even fight it because the email says to go in twitch.com to their thing, I think. Let me just look again. I just love that they're like, fire emoji, your stream summary is ready, after I just got my account taken down. I know it's automated, but also like it's kind of like the biggest fuck you. And it's also showing me a graph where the numbers are going up. Cool. You can submit a valid counter notification by following the requirements here. If you would like to reach out to see a retraction from the copyright claimant, please contact them directly. Yeah, okay. Yeah, renji.chen@wbd.com. Yeah. Seems legit, man. They make this as complicated as possible too to dispute this. At least YouTube, I can go on my account still and dispute it right then and there. But Twitch, it's like, nope, you're logged out. Your account's gone for 48 hours. But if you want to appeal it, oh, and if you want to get rid of the strike, you gotta go to school. Bro, I've been streaming forever. I know how copyright works. Here's how to submit one, and it's submit the date, the material you're reporting, the URL where allegedly inferior material can be found, the date and time of the infringement. Link that post directly to an authorized example of the copyright work. Name of the rights holder. See, you can't just there's no way they have someone sitting at Twitch headquarters, you know what I mean? And it can't be real, dude. Why would they go after me, who has 8 viewers max? I can guarantee you if we go on twitch.tv/Hassan right now or whatever, he's streaming it. Or someone like him is streaming it. If I can even fucking watch a video. Oh, I can't even watch. Oh, sorry, I'm on a different Hassan.
Nicotine is hard.
I can guarantee he's watching it right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe he's taking a break too. What is this? 100% pay here. I'm just saying, I'm not the only one doing this. And CNN doesn't seem like the type to do that. But I feel like you could fake all this shit. Because there's no way you submitted it and then I can guarantee it's a bot. It's probably just oh, they filled out all the things. Let's strike them to be safe. Because they'd rather be safe than have an actual company reach out, to try to sue and be you didn't take it down quick enough. I commit a counter notification. Because someone from CNN isn't going to reach out from this email. It'll be a customer service email or some sort. Or a media relations. It would not be from some random Joe Schmo on a Wednesday night. Where it's free on their website. And they make it free for a reason. Yeah. So this thing was not playing.
Republican presidential debate live from Drake University in Iowa.
Well, I might as well just not go live, I guess, anymore. It doesn't really matter.
The Republican Party right now, and that is, what is the role of government, and should it use its power to go after businesses and private entities that take actions that don't align with conservative values? Governor DeSantis, you used your powers in Florida to take on Disney after the company criticized an education bill that you signed into law. How does that square with the traditional conservative view that small, limited government is best?
The proper role of government, if it means anything, it's to protect our kids. And I've stood for the innocence of our kids. It is wrong. It is wrong to sexualize the curriculum. It's wrong. And look, my wife and I, we've got a first grader, a kindergartner, and a preschooler. This is something that's important to us personally. It's wrong to tell a kindergartner, like Disney wanted to do, that you can change your gender, or tell a third grader that you're born in the wrong body. So I stood up against, the media didn't like it, the left didn't like it, and Disney didn't like it, and they're the 800-pound gorilla in the state of Florida. Most people, most
it's half of your economy
would have caved. I stood and I fought for the kids. We took on Disney, and we defeated that, and we won that fight, and our kids are better off. Now, Nikki Haley sided with Disney. She invited them to South Carolina, even though they were involved in transing kids. That is not what we need to do, but I think that's similar.
Here comes the transphobia part of the debate. Hopefully it's over quick.
Of the party. For example, she supported $900 million in subsidies to Boeing when she was in South Carolina, and then when she got out of office, she took a seat on their board, and she made millions of dollars. Then she gave speeches, paid speeches to a lot of Wall Street interests, didn't publish what she said. We don't know what she promised them. And she made millions of dollars doing that. Now they're the ones that are funding her campaign. So we need to stand up for the people and not bow down to woke corporations. And we know Nikki Haley will cave to the woke mob every single time.
Governor Haley,
woke mob.
Government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people. It was never meant to be all things to all people. And what we don't need is government politicizing anything. The first thing I'll say is, again, DeSantisLies.com, because I have never said anything related to the transgender
She's still
stuff he
doing
says.
this.
I've always fought to protect kids.
She's going to lose
I've
this
always
debate
said that
because of
boys
that
need
alone.
to go into boys' bathrooms, girls need to go into girls' bathrooms, that we shouldn't have any gender transitions before the age of 18. Just like we don't have tattoos before the age of 18, we shouldn't have gender transformation or puberty blockers. But I will tell you that it's really interesting that Ron talks about this Disney, because Disney has been woke for a long time. They were against the immigration situation that Trump was doing. They were against the Paris Climate Agreement when I did it. They were against the pro-life bill in Georgia. Ron didn't have any problem with that. As a matter of fact, he gave them the largest corporate subsidies in Florida history.
This is crazy,
He
man.
had a tech exemptions that he didn't give any tech exemptions to anybody but Disney. Yet when they went and criticized
This is
him,
so
he got
culture
thin
war. I
skinned
don't
and
think
suddenly
anyone
started to
cares.
fight back. We don't need government fighting against
Besides
our private
online
industries.
conservatives.
Well, we are not woke in South Carolina. I will
We
always
are not
invite
woke.
businesses to come to South Carolina. But the one thing you don't do is government doesn't bully our businesses, and that can't happen. And Ron is determined. Anybody that
Thank you,
offends him,
Governor.
he goes after them, and
Thank
he'll
you,
use
Governor.
government.
Governor DeSantis.
She just said she's always fought to protect kids, but when she was governor of South Carolina, they had a bill to protect girls from men going into the bathroom. She killed it, and she's bragged about it for years that happened. She didn't stand up and fight the kids. She caved to the Chamber of Commerce and the corporation. She said she's against the surgeries for minors. That wasn't what she said this summer. She was.
Why does it keep doing that, dude? And now it's not going to put me back to where I
Made it
was.
easier
Oh
to
my
remove
fucking
books from
god.
public school
See, that
libraries.
fucking sucks,
You say
dude.
you want to, quote, make America Florida.
Well,
Do you
I don't know where we
want to
were,
implement
and there's-
those Florida
this is
school
not-
policies nationwide?
I'll
Sorry.
get to that in a sec. So Nikki Haley
Yeah,
said she wants
I'm
parents
not
to
fucking
decide on the education.
uploading this, so.
She campaigned for governor saying she was going to do school choice to be able to
Or maybe
give
I'll just
private
leave it up as a live
scholarships,
stream.
particularly to low-income families. And she was governor and never did it. She caved to the teachers union. I delivered the biggest school choice expansion in the history of the United States. We beat the teachers union. We've even done paycheck protection so that school unions, so that teachers
Doesn't
aren't
seem like it's
forced
that
to do
far
dues,
off, though.
and now they're choosing other things.
Okay, what was the
So
time
we've
on
done
it?
it right in
6:59?
Florida, and the results speak for themselves.
All right, so
we
at
have
least
one of
it-
the
I mean,
top
that's live,
performing
but-
fourth grade reading and math in the country. And if you
All right,
just
thanks,
took our
Ethan, for
charter
popping
school
in.
population,
Yeah, I'm gonna email him
365,000
tonight,
kids,
probably.
disproportionately low income, racial ethnic minorities, if they were their own state, they'd be in the top 5 in performance. Everyone can succeed, but you got to have a leader who's going to fight the teachers unions and is going to deliver school choice. Governor Kim Reynolds did that here in Iowa, who's endorsed me. Nikki Haley did not. She failed. And if she can't do it in the reddest state in the country of South Carolina, how are you going to be able to succeed in Washington, D.C.? Now, in terms of what we've done, we believe in empowering parents. And there's certain standards about what's age and developmentally appropriate. It's wrong to have pornographic materials in 4th or 5th grade. And you know what's happened? They'll go to school board meetings all around the country. They'll start reading it, and they say, oh, no, it's too graphic. You can't read it here. You can't put it on the 6 o'clock news. Well, if it's not appropriate in a school board meeting and you can't put it on the 6 o'clock news, why are you jamming it down the
Governor.
throats of a 4th grader?
So, Governor,
It's not happening.
just
God.
a point of clarification. Do you want to implement Florida's education policies nationwide?
It depends on the policy. School choice, universal, yes. I don't want a nationalized curriculum. I think that that's a bottom-up thing. I want to get rid of the Federal Department of Education, get that weight off the backs of the state and local governments. But we are going to do nationwide scholarships through the tax.
That's why, like,
corporate
some
tax
people from some
credits,
states,
and that's going
like,
to bail out a lot of
know
poor
jack
kids
shit about
throughout
the,
this country.
the
Governor
Civil
Haley.
War, or think one way about the Civil
You know,
War.
I have fought for school choice in my entire career because I think parents know their children best, and I think we should always do that. That's why we passed charter school legislation in our state. That's why we empowered homeschoolers in our state. That's why we changed the funding formula so we lifted up challenged areas without bringing down the wealthy areas. We wanted school choice. I had a Republican legislature that wouldn't do it, but we pushed hard to get that done. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it across the country, but what we have to do is we have to make it state-centric. We've got to get these programs down to the state level. We've got to let the focus be on teachers. Teachers right now have to be the guidance counselors, the pastors, the nurses, and everything in between. And oh, by the way, way they have to teach to a test. That's not what teachers want. Teachers want to do what they were taught to do. And that means math, science, reading, history, English, arts. That's it. Schools can't be all things to all kids. They need to let the parents parent. They need to let teachers teach. And we need to go back to the basics in education so we get our kids ready.
That was the problem, though. That word salad is the problem.
Governor DeSantis.
She says she's always supported school choice, and she failed to deliver. She blames other people. Leadership is about getting things done.
How long is this debate?
Make it happen.
I mean, that was an hour before they took a break,
If
no?
leadership's about getting
Yeah.
things done, how did you
So
blow
if it's
through
$2 hours?
$150 million in your campaign and you were down in the polls?
So here's
you
I
are
think
not
this
a manager.
is very
No,
instructive.
now I'm going
I
to
think
say.
it's very instructive
No,
about
if
what
he's
how
gonna do
Nikki
this-
Haley sees the world.
I think I have the floor.
Political
Governor
advertisement
DeSantis,
as like that's as important
Governor
as the
DeSantis,
kids and
Governor
their
Haley has the
education.
floor.
What is more important here? She's saying
Governor
somehow
DeSantis,
that's
it's
not
Governor
as important.
Haley's.
Hello? Why does it just keep doing this, dude?
It's Governor Haley's time. Go ahead.
I think I hit a nerve. What I will tell you is, look, if you can't manage a campaign, it's been a revolving door of political people in and out of his campaign. You've heard of campaign people going to blows with each other because they can't all agree. $150 million, and he spent more on private planes and commercials. I flew commercial, not your money. It's other people's money, and you have to know how to handle it. If he can't handle the financial parts of a campaign, how's he going to handle the economy when it comes to the White House? And he goes and he has been demeaning me over and over again, telling lies, DeSantisLies.com, because he thinks it makes him look bigger. But in the one basic thing, you've campaigned for president in one state, you're invisible in New Hampshire, you're invisible in South Carolina, you're in 5th place, you've got $150 million, and you've gone down in the polls in Iowa. Why should we think you can manage or do anything in this country?
Thank you. Governor DeSantis.
This is a great window into leadership because she's focused on a lot of political process stuff, things that no voter cares about, and she couldn't tell you why she failed to deliver school choice to people in her state after she promised it. So she says somehow that is the indicative of, no, leadership is about producing results. We've produced the results in Florida. We did universal school choice. We've cut taxes. We banned sanctuary cities. On and on down the line, everything I promised I delivered. She doesn't have a rationale.
Yeah, this can't be
for why
more
she
than
couldn't get it
2
done.
hours, I'd
That
imagine.
is poor leadership. You look at
Especially if
me,
there's only 2
everything
people.
I promised I would do, I've delivered, and you can expect nothing less when I'm the president of the United
We're
States.
gonna move on now.
I need to respond to that.
Go ahead.
So you want to talk about leadership, and he wants to go and demean and put down. Let me tell you what leadership is. Leadership is the fact that I went into South Carolina that had 11% unemployment rate. Leadership is the fact that we turned it into an economic powerhouse, building planes, building cars, building tires. We were named the Beast of the Southeast. We moved the 11%
Beast of the
unemployment down to
Southeast.
4%. We announced jobs in every
What,
county
Kat?
in the state.
What?
We moved 35,000 people on welfare to work. We changed our prison system to where we now have the lowest recidivism rate in the country. We passed voter ID. We passed tort reform. We did pension reform. We paid down our debt. We cut taxes. We made sure that people were proud again. We did E-Verify in the first 6 months, not 5 years like Ron. So don't go and pick on school choice and say that that's leadership. Okay. When I got to the UN, we cut $1 billion off the top, and we took the kick me son off of our backs.
She's
and
doing
America
better
was
now.
respected
I
again.
feel like she's being more specific.
I know what
And
leadership
Get it done.
We're moving on to a topic, governors, that both
Should be
of
more
you
specific than she was in the
have
first
made sense
half.
of trade war with China. As a result, his administration paid out $28 billion in subsidies to farmers. You have vowed to be even tougher than Donald Trump on China. If your trade policies also end up hurting America's farmers, are you prepared to cut a check just like he did?
Well,
Come on, man.
that's why Trump should be here on this debate stage. He should have to defend it. So first of all, I've said China is our #1 national security threat. I fought them every single day at the United Nations. I know what they're capable of. The first thing we have to do is we have to make sure we stop selling them any land and we take back the land they already purchased. We need to go to our universities and we say, you either take Chinese money or you take American money, but the days of taking both are over. We need to stop all of the technologies that are going to China. Biden approved approved 70% of them. Trump approved even more than that. We have to tell them we're going to end all normal trade relations with them. Until I was very attached
Why does
to
it keep
China
jumping,
in terms
dude?
of trade. And the one thing we'll do is we won't wait.
Yeah, this stream is not good.
To pull the rug out from under Iowans. What we'll do is instead we will move that
Keeps
trade
jumping
to where
around,
we have
or
friends.
just randomly
we will
will
go and build
crash.
partnerships. India, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, Israel. We will go and move that trade over. Right now, you can ask our farmers. When they go and they buy from China, China orders, cancels the order, then goes and tries to buy it cheap.
Dude. I'm about ready to just give up, man. It's been one of those nights, man, where you're just like, you know what? Things aren't working in your favor, so. Like waiting for it to go. Bruh, there you go.
Significant to our national survival. And you got to be methodical, strategic about it. There's a lot of moving parts.
Sorry if the
here, but
stream
we're gonna
fucking
do
sucks.
that. Nikki Haley's not going to be able to do that because
I know
a
it
lot of her
does.
supporters make a lot of money in China. And so she's going to talk tough, but she'll cave on that. And then also with here in the United States, she's saying they shouldn't be buying land and be in the universities. When she was governor of South Carolina, the state gave China land. And they were in the universities. As governor in Florida, I banned China from buying land, and we kicked them out of our universities. That's what you want to do.
DeSantisLies.com. He has.
Yeah, this is starting to, like, is it my stream?
An economic development arm. You had an
No, I have no
office
drop
in
frames.
Hong Kong. On the website, it said that Florida is a great place to do for Chinese companies to do business. And then when we called you out on it, you had the website scrubbed. So we know that that's the case. What I will tell you is we need to focus on what we're going to do to become less dependent on China. And we need to make sure that we look at it through a national security lens. When we had COVID, everybody told you to wear a mask. It was made in China. They told you to take a COVID test. You turned it over. It was made in China. If you go down the drugstore aisle, all those medicines are made in China. We need to make sure we're getting medicines made here, or we need to get it from our friends so that we're not in any way threatened. But I'll tell you, Ron continues to sit there and talk about China. He has done expansions in China. His biggest donor that is backed by China gave them $340,000. So don't go and talk about donors and money. Go to DeSantisLies.com.
Oh my God, stop plugging the website.
I know your record hurts in
My
China.
record doesn't
because
say
you're
we're an
doing-
economic power.
You're talking the opposite of what you did. You made a big effort to bring them into the state. They had land near a military base. You were in front of the Chinese flag saying you work for them. You wrote a love letter to the ambassador. That's well documented. You were the #1 Republican governor in the country. And even people that on the media who are hostile to me, they say they can't find one instance of me as governor recruiting a Chinese company because I haven't done it. It's not been part of that. And the Enterprise Florida, we actually eliminated. So here's the thing, though. She's backed by companies
Keeps
like
plugging
BlackRock.
this website.
She's backed by major companies.
It's our
on Wall
only
Street.
comeback,
They make
and
a
it's
lot
just
of money in China. There's a reason
sucks.
why you're in the mess you are in terms of trying to deal with the inflation and everything because the elites in this country have sold out the middle of the country for China. She is part of that now, and she's not going to stand up for you.
Governor DeSantis, I want to ask about something that you mentioned you've been talking a lot about on the campaign.
The constant buffering is crazy, man. Come on. Either just I'd rather be 5 minutes behind,
which is decoupling the
there we
U.S.
go.
economy with China's.
Stop
China
buffering,
is
please.
a top supplier of goods to the United States. The U.S. sells more than $150 billion of goods to China every year. Is it really possible to sever economic ties without inflicting major pain on American business and American consumers?
Sure it is, and it's something that you got to be strategic, you got to be methodical about, you got to focus on the things that are of national significance. For example, I don't think it's a good idea that the pharmaceuticals come from there, things for our military weaponry, all these important things that if we got into a worldwide conflict, we're going to ask China, who may be on the other side of that, to continue doing that. So you got to be smart about it. You got to recognize that you're going to have to do some incentives here in this country tax incentives, regulatory incentives, but I want to make things here again. You know, I look around the country, there's parts of Iowa that have been hollowed out, particularly in the eastern part, and I've talked to folks and seen what that did for the community. We were sold a bill of goods by a lot of elites in this country that somehow putting China in the WTO and granting a most favored nation status was going to lead to our manufacturing exporting a bunch of stuff there. Instead, they've gobbled up so much more manufacturing. I don't think you can be a first-rate power unless you have a very strong industrial base. So we're going to do that here. We're going to work on workforce education. You know, not everyone needs to do a 4-year brick and ivy university. That's not the best way or only way for a really big thing, but I just think the middle of the country has to have those good-paying jobs, and we can't put the interest.
Kind of agree with that. I don't think everyone needs to go to college to just be able to get a good-paying job.
Let's move on to Social Security.
I mean, everyone should just get a living wage instead of a minimum
Security.
wage.
According to the Social Security
If we want to do the, if we're
Social
doing the
Security
capitalism
will be
thing,
unable to pay
at least give everyone a living wage.
decade if no action is taken. Governor
90%
DeSantis,
of jobs can really
you're not
just
gonna,
be
quote, mess with Social
like
Security.
a lot of the jobs
unquote.
that the average American does
that
can
mean
be
you have
just
committed
taught by
to
doing the
never
job.
raising
Especially a lot of
the
office
retirement
jobs.
age and never cutting
or white collar
benefits?
jobs, especially.
So all
Same with
seniors
blue
out
collar.
there, promise has been made
Do a
to you.
2-year trade
You've
school.
paid into this. Every single paycheck that you've had your entire life, they've taken money out of, and that promise needs to be fulfilled. So that will happen when I'm president. Of course, I have a lot of seniors in Florida that depend on Social Security. I know many of them, and I think back to my own grandmother who was lived till 91. Social Security was her sole source of income. So promise made, promise kept. You know, on the retirement age, you know, it used to be people would say, well, life expectancy is going up. Shouldn't it mirror that? Well, the problem now in the last 5 years is life expectancy is going down. So I don't see how you can raise the retirement age when our life expectancy is collapsing in this country. That's a huge problem in and of itself. I'll work with both sides of the aisle. We'll work on something for the long-term strengthening, but I am not going to mess with seniors' benefits. In this high inflation environment, groceries are going through the roof, rent is going through the roof, all these staples, and you get a cost of living adjustment, but that's not enough to cover the costs that have been increased. So seniors are really strapped, particularly those that are on fixed income, and they have to know that we're going to deliver when it comes to their Social Security check. Now, we're going to get inflation down. We're going to get energy costs down. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to help seniors, but I think seniors should know promise made will be a promise kept.
So just a point of clarification.
I feel like he's
15
winning on
seconds.
the
Removing
economy
current
questions right now.
seniors from the equation,
Or at least
you're not
how
saying
he's delivering
that
them.
you're committing to never raising the retirement age or cutting benefits.
I would never raise the retirement age in the face of declining life expectancy. I mean, I think that would be really bad. I mean, just think about it. That hurts blue-collar folks. You get taxed your entire life. Life expectancy's down. You may not even be recouping very many benefits. And so life expectancy is declining. That's a big problem.
Governor Haley?
3 years in a row, he voted to raise life expectancy to 70 years old. 3 years in a row. Go to DeSantisLies.com and you'll see.
Oh my God.
So now suddenly he's going to tell you
DeSantisLies.com.
because
Do
he's
you
running
know
for
it yet?
president, he's not going to do it. You can't trust him. What I'll tell you is Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 8. He talks about taking care of seniors.
What is the strategy
right now,
to just keep going to the website?
Florida is the inflation hotspot.
Even
It's
saying
the
it
highest
3
cost of
times
living
over 2
of any
hours, you
state
could get
in the
away with
country.
it. But this
Seniors
is
are
what,
having
like
to leave
number
because
7?
they can't afford it. It's documented in DeSantisLies.com. What I'll
8?
tell you we have to do is we have to keep our promises to seniors,
DeSantisLies.com.
but we also can't put our head in the sand. For those like Ron saying they're not going to touch Social Security, that means they're going to leave after 4 or 8 years and leave it bankrupt? No. What we do is we go to those in their 20s and say we're going to change the retirement age to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we do increases based on inflation. We limit benefits on the wealthy.
Thank you, Governor.
And we expand Medicare Advantage plans, which seniors love.
Thank you,
That's
Governor.
how we'll deal with making sure they have it.
Reducing the benefits, when you do the change in calculation, reducing the benefits. So let's just put this in perspective. Under her administration, you would have seniors getting less cost of living adjustments while your tax dollars are going to pay the pensions of Ukrainian bureaucrats.
That's not true.
You talk about putting
That's such a
Americans
lie,
last.
Ron.
That is wrong.
That's
You
such a
supported all
lie,
that money
Ron.
going over there. So let's put
You're
our
so
own people
desperate.
first. We
You're
have to
just
put
so
Governor
desperate.
Haley, let him
and
speak.
she also said, she said recently that the age of Social Security is way too low. And I criticized that, and then she was called on it, and then she said she never said it, of course, you're lying. And then sure enough, you put on the interview where she's there, spit an image, and she says it's way too low. So, we can play this song and dance. She has a record. She makes statements. And I think part of the problem with her candidacy is now that she's getting scrutiny, she's got this
They
problem
really have
with
not
ballistic
attacked Trump at all.
podiatry,
It's been each other.
shooting herself in the foot every other day, saying things that now she doesn't even take questions from people.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. Governor Haley, you want to raise...
He's
retirement age
referencing
for
the
younger Americans. You have
slavery
not said what
question
that age
about
should
the
be.
Civil War
Should
that she
voters in
fucked
their
up on,
20s
that even
plan
Trump
on
roasted
working
her
until they're
about.
70?
First of all, he hasn't answered the fact that he voted to raise the retirement age to 73 different times. He can call me whatever name and be demeaning as much as he wants. It doesn't change the fact that Ron's lying because Ron's losing. Everybody in the country sees it for what it is. So what I'll tell you is, yes, we're going to take on.
I feel like you're both kind of losing, but
and we're
sure.
going to go to those in our 20s. When I said the retirement age was too low, again, where he's lying. It's because if you go, and you can go to DeSantisLies.com, I said it's too low if we're going to look at those in their 20s. We have to go and start looking at what we can do to get out of this. We want to make sure that everybody who was promised gets it, but we also want to make sure our kids.
Yeah,
have
I'm
something
working
when
till
they
70.
get
I
it
already know
too.
that.
So the way we do that is exactly
And I make
how
decent
I laid
money.
it out. Then we'll
But
know
just-
what we're looking at, and then we can start focusing.
It's never going to be enough.
We need to start cutting spending in D.C. We have to go back to pre-COVID
Then you have
levels.
student loans
That's why I'll veto
for most
any
of us.
spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels.
That's probably
That will
taking
save
away
us
from money that could be
trillions.
saved,
We've got to go into
be put in a
every
savings
agency,
account.
replace the head
Or
of
a
every
401k.
agency, and send people into every agency. I did that as governor. Pull down old regs, pull down old programs, get rid of any problem children, and clean those agencies out and get them mission focused. There is a lot of waste in D.C. You need an accountant to go in there and clean it up, but we're not going to take away from anyone else, and he's yet to answer the fact that he voted 3 times to raise the retirement
Just a
age.
clarification, Governor Haley. In 15 seconds, should voters in their 20s plan on having to work until they're 70?
They should plan on their retirement age being increased, yes. We're going to
Oh.
change it to reflect more of what life expectancy
I don't think you're going to get any
One of the things
votes with
I
that.
think we disagree on too.
You're not
is,
conservatives.
Governor Haley
Conservatives
has
don't
said
wanna
Social
work
Security is
longer.
an entitlement, but it's not an entitlement. You're paying into it. It's not a welfare program. You're being taxed for this your whole life.
Yeah,
So
right.
To expect to have benefits on the back end, I don't think that that's too much. The other thing I'd point out is
Yeah, it's supposed to be you're
Social
paying
Security
for the
decades
future in a
ran
way,
massive
right?
surpluses.
Your
What happened to those
taxes
surpluses? The
are-
Congress spent
tax-
the
in
surpluses.
theory, the
Yes,
tax
when
is
they
supposed to
have a
be.
Problem with that. So number one,
You're almost like
we need
putting money into a
term limits for members of
401k,
Congress.
right?
Number two,
Just into the
we need a
government
balanced budget
that you're
amendment to the
promised
US
to get this
Constitution. Number
when-
three, we need to get the
when you're
president
older.
a line item veto. And number four, when you see all these congressmen making a killing in the stock market, like Nancy Pelosi, she could run a very lucrative hedge fund. We need a 28th Amendment to the Constitution that says very simply, Congress shall make no law respecting the citizens of the United States that does not also apply to members of Congress themselves.
Ah, man, he's going to get votes with that. Or at least, maybe not votes, but at least
in this Republican primary campaign, Governor
he's
Haley
responding
last
well.
week,
I
Governor
think
DeSantis
that gets
said
him a lot
former
of points.
President Trump is not pro-life. Do you agree?
I mean, look, I think that he did some pro-life things when he was president. You'd have to ask him. That's why he should be on this debate stage. Don't ask me what President Trump thinks.
That we've stood
What?
very strongly for a culture of life.
Well,
Governor Reynolds
okay.
is here. She has stood strongly for
Ended
a
her
culture of
statement.
life and enact pro-life protection. We've done it in the state of Florida. Donald Trump has attacked that. What they did under Governor Reynolds here in Iowa, he said that that's a, quote, terrible, terrible thing. I don't know how you square that. He was at the March for Life when he was president his last year, and he said that life's a gift from God, that the unborn are made in the image of God, and that you needed to have protections for that human life. And now saying it's a terrible, terrible thing. He's given a gift to the left to weaponize that against pro-lifers, and that's wrong. But here's the thing. Republicans need to do a better job of lifting up folks who are having children. It's very difficult to raise kids in this environment. You need to help with medical care. You need to help with affordability, and we need to help with education choice. You got to be pro-life for the whole life, and you got to have some compassion for what is going on in this country.
Governor,
Thank you, Governor. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Governor,
I
yesterday
did not
in Iowa, you
expect the
criticized Governor
DeSantis,
Haley on this issue of abortion. You said
the
she's, quote,
DeSantis kind of
indulged in left-wing tropes and chastised pro-lifers.
What's the
Do you
term looking
believe
for?
Governor Haley is sufficiently pro-life?
He's like
confused on the
the
issue. I think she's trying to speak to different groups with
Gary
different
Hogan or
things.
whatever his name
But
is
when
in
she
Maryland.
says things like pro-lifers need to stop
The
talking
moderate
about,
Republican. He's trying to do the moderate
throwing women in
Republican, I
jail. That's
guess,
a trope.
the tolerable
No one I've ever
Republican,
met
where he's
thinks that
saying,
that's
he's like, you
something
know what?
that's appropriate. These women
I'm
are
against
in
abortion,
vulnerable
but you know we need to
situations.
help.
They
You know,
don't
he's
get any
saying
help a lot of
sensible
times
things,
from
right?
these fathers who
In the- like,
don't want to be there.
still, there's a
support.
lot of-
A lot of times they don't have resources themselves.
obviously,
so it's a
I'm
very difficult situation. And we've gotta have
pro-choice, but you know what I mean. Where he's saying
but
the
I think when she
things
starts bringing that in, that's using the
that the
language
kind
of
of
the left,
independents
to try
like to
attack
hear.
pro-lifers. So I think that is wrong. But at the end of the day, I do agree with her on this. Donald Trump should be on this stage. He owes it to you here in Iowa to explain this change he's had in his positioning, to explain why he has a tough time saying whether a man can become a woman or not, to explain why he wants to build a $1 billion plus big, beautiful new FBI building right in the heart of the swamp in Washington, D.C. He needs to explain why he didn't build the wall and why he added $7.8 trillion to the debt. Every candidate needs to earn your vote. Nobody's entitled to your vote. And he comes in here every now and then, he does his spiel, and then he leaves. I've shown up to all 99 counties because it's important. You're a servant of the people. You are not a ruler over the people. And that's the type of president that I will be for you.
DeSantis is getting a lot of applause. I think I'm starting to think he's kind of crushing this debate.
I didn't hear the criticism from Ron about me for being pro-life, but I'm not surprised. It's something that he does all day, every day. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband is adopted. And I've got my two sweet children sitting in front of me, and I had trouble having both of them. These fellas don't know how to talk about abortion. I have said over and over again, the Democrats put fear in women on abortion, and Republicans have used judgment. This is too personal of an issue to put fear or judgment. Our goal should be, how do we save as many babies as possible and support as many moms as possible? That's what we're going to focus on doing. We're not going to demonize this issue anymore. We're not going to play politics with this issue anymore.
Even Republican voters
respectful issue that it is.
don't
And
like that Republicans talk about
you keep saying,
pro-life
where's
so
anybody
much,
talking
and
about
she's
putting a woman in
responding
jail?
to that. We talked about
That's
this.
why I say
Thank you,
that.
Governor. So
Talk about this after the last elections in
both
November.
governors have mentioned that they believe that Donald Trump should be here defending his own record. I just want to remind
After
everybody
a
that
lot
he
of
did
Republicans
qualify
got
for this debate,
beat in
and he,
their
did not
respective
accept our
races
invitation.
on
Both of
abortion
you
and
talk about how
transgender issues.
important
I
it
feel
is
like
to protect the US
ever since then we've
Constitution.
seen the shift,
2 years
especially
after
from
losing
someone
the
like
2020
Haley.
election, Donald Trump wrote on social media about his
who's,
baseless election lies.
kind of
Quote, a massive
talks about how the
fraud of
Republican
this
Party
type and
talks, right?
magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, unquote. On that subject, former Vice President Mike Pence has said that on January 6, 2021, Donald Trump put himself over the Constitution. Governor Haley, is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
I mean, look, you take an oath to the Constitution, and I think what you're seeing is Donald Trump basically said that the election was stolen. He went on and on talking about the election being stolen. He said that January 6th was a beautiful day. I think January 6th was a terrible day, and we should never want to see that happen again. And I think we have to always be strong on the fact that, look, we want fair elections, and we saw some discrepancies in those elections in 2020 that should be concerning. That's why I passed voter ID in South Carolina. That's why I think when absentee ballots go out, you should be able to verify signatures. That's why I think ballots need to be counted on Election Day, and you should get results on Election Day. But that election, Trump lost it. Biden won that election. And the idea that he's gone and carried this out forever to the point that he's going to continue to say these things to scare the American people are wrong. We've seen a lot of states come together and
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember any of them being pretty
but at the end of the day,
specific
I will always
and
defend and fight for the Constitution.
saying that
That's
Trump
what we
lost
should do as Americans.
up
I think
until
what happened on
this.
January 6th
At least
was a
maybe I'm
terrible day, and I
misremembering,
think
but
President Trump will have to answer for it.
So just a clarification, Governor. Is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
Well, I mean,
I don't remember anyone saying, like, Biden won, Trump lost.
I don't think it was a beautiful day. I think you look at
And
that.
especially calling January 6th
the fact that he
bad
wanted
thing.
to change what the states did, the fact that he wanted to overturn the elections in D.C., those votes happen at the state level. You don't ever allow in D.C. for those votes to be changed at the federal level.
Governor.
States' rights matter.
Thank you, Governor. Governor DeSantis, is there any meaningful difference in how you and Donald Trump view the Constitution?
My role model for how to do the Constitution is George Washington. He said, the Constitution is the guide that I will never abandon. And I remember when I took an oath to be an officer in the U.S. Navy, you raise that hand, you put that left hand on the Bible, and it's interesting, the oath doesn't say that you're going to defend the shores of the United States or engage in military conflict. The oath simply says that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. As President of the United States, you will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. You can't just terminate the Constitution. I mean, I know he does, word vomit from time to time on social media, but obviously I will uphold the Constitution. And I think it's fine to criticize Donald Trump, and I know the media brings this up a lot. But you know who else deserves to be criticized? The people that violated the Constitution during COVID to lock people out of schools, to destroy businesses, to force masks on people, to try to force vaccines.
Here we go.
I'm going to bring a reckoning to all these agencies, the CDC, the NIH,
should have let
the
more
FDA.
people die.
They harm people in this country.
In the name
When
of the
Dr. Fauci
Constitution.
said there
Thank you,
was no
Governor.
learning loss for kids. That's a disgrace.
Thank you, Governor.
There's a reckoning coming.
So let's talk about how you view...
We're letting the crowds
Let's
cheer
talk about
tonight,
how you
too.
view the
I mean,
powers
granted,
of
like I said, there's like 40 people here. Oh, come on. Stop doing this. Let me watch the freaking thing, CNN.
in court yesterday for a hearing on presidential immunity. And Governor DeSantis, I'm wondering if you agree with the argument that Donald Trump's lawyer made in court that a president should have immunity for any conduct in office, including, as the judge asked, ordering the assassination of a political rival, unless the president gets impeached and convicted by the Senate for the offense first.
Well, obviously, that attorney gave the case away on that explanation. I think the D.C. Circuit is going to rule against Donald Trump on that issue. I'm not exactly sure what the outer limits are. I don't think it's necessarily been litigated. It's not going to be.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't bring that up at the top, but
and we're gonna uphold the best.
Yeah, there was Trump's lawyer basically saying that the Trump or any president could kill their political opponents.
Hey, that's somebody that's worthy of emulating. And so my wife and I, we just view ourselves to try to do well for our kids and to make sure they're proud of us, and we set a good example. So that's what we would do in that situation. But I think there's a larger issue Republicans have got to think of it. Donald Trump's going to lose that appeal. He's going to end up going to trial in front of a stacked left-wing D.C. jury of all Democrats. What are the odds that he's going to get through that? And that's even talking about the validity of the charges. I don't think he gets through that. And so what are we going to do as Republicans in terms of who we nominate?
They should have been.
If Trump
This,
is the
once
nominee,
again,
it's
I
gonna
feel
be
like some of the
about
stuff is I
January
haven't heard
6th,
before, but this
legal
is
issues, criminal trials. The Democrats.
these are things that I feel like they should have been. Any of these candidates should have been doing from the beginning.
I'm running for your issues. We need to make.
I know some of the Trump trials weren't fully out yet, but still, like.
The failures of the Democratic Party and how
I still think they should have done this against Trump, being like, we don't even know if this guy's going to be in jail or not.
Thank you, Governor.
Are you going to vote for someone who's in jail? That's what I would be saying if I was them.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The question was, do you agree with the argument Donald Trump's lawyer made in court that a president should have immunity for any conduct, including in ordering the assassination of a political rival, unless that president is impeached and convicted by the Senate for that offense first?
No, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we need to use some common sense here. You can't go and kill a political rival and then claim, immunity from a president. I think we have to start doing things that are right. And, Ron said we should have leaders that we can look up to. Well, then stop lying, because nobody's going to want to look up to you if you're lying. But what I do think we need to look at is, what has President Trump done? You look at the last few years, and our country is completely divided. It's divided over extremes. It's divided over hatred. It's divided over the fact that people think that if someone doesn't agree with you, that they're bad. And now we have leaders in our country that decide who's good and who's bad, who's right and who's wrong. That's not what a leader does. What a leader does is they bring out the best in people and get them to see the way forward. That's what we need in our country. We don't need this chaos anymore. We need someone who's going to be a new generational leader that brings sanity back to America.
Thank you so much. The CNN Republican presidential debate live from Drake University. We'll be back right after this.
All right, I think maybe one more half hour. It's got to be only 2 hours. There's no way this is longer than that. All right, I'm not going to change the screen because last time I don't think the ticker in the top left changed when I went away. So we're just rolling with this. I feel like Haley responded better that half. She's still doing the go to DeSantisLies.com too much. But man, I feel like DeSantis is kind of crushing it though. He's getting a lot of applause. His answers, like I said, when I say this, I don't agree with him politically at all. But how he's breaking down the things he wants to do, he's been pretty specific about it. And he kind of doesn't fall into the back and forth with Haley when she calls him a liar. He just kind of keeps pushing through it. Yeah, I feel like he's kind of crushing this debate. I was not expecting it. I thought it was going to be kind of just whatever, but I feel like this is his best debate by far, regardless if maybe he disagree if he wins this debate, but I think it's his best debate by far. But like I said, is that part of amount of screen time he's had? Not screen time, speaking time, perhaps. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm the more and more I think about it, the more and more I see it, I feel like DeSantis is winning this debate. We're finally seeing attacks on Trump towards the end there too. There's been a lot of back and forth between them and kind of disagreements between them. Haley definitely keeps doing the liar thing. I don't know how much it's working. She did have some good answers about January 6th that I'm kind of surprised by. Like I said, I don't remember that being kind of a thing previously. Of either any of the candidates in the previous ones, of any of them being a pretty straightforward and saying, yeah, January 6th was bad. The election was not stolen. So I think that's kind of a new, at least not as specific as Haley's answer was. So I'm surprised by the amount of firsts we're getting. So yeah, I think for me right now, DeSantis is winning this debate, but I'm surprised by both on specific answers. I think there's a benefit to having less people on the stage, but I do miss my Ramaswamis or my Christies right now. I kind of do wish we had maybe at least one more voice. I mean, obviously, it would be Trump would be who I want to be here, for the memes, but. But yeah, there's got to be maybe a half hour left, if I had to guess. Man, I'm gonna. What time is it? It's 8:30. Yeah, probably a half hour left. And I gotta freaking sit here and email Twitch because I'm sure they won't even get back to me by the time my 48 hours are done. And usually I stream CS:GO or CS2 now. At 7 Eastern. So I don't know if I'll be able to stream, at least not on Twitch, till after the thing's over. But it sucks, I can't even go to my account. They should just have everything in the account. I have to send an email and do all these freaking steps. You gotta send. I have to send the URL of where it was before it got claimed. How am I gonna do that when it's got deleted? Can't even go on my account. Whatever.
Welcome back to the CNN presidential debate live from Iowa, Drake University. Let's start this with health care. Neither of you has released a detailed health care plan, so we want to give some
because they don't care about health care.
Some insight into specifics of what you might do as president. Governor Haley, As governor of South Carolina, you chose not to expand Medicaid under Obamacare. 40 states, including this one where we are in Iowa, did expand Medicaid, covering more than 18 million Americans.
40
As
other
president,
states did,
would
and
you
you
allow
didn't.
those
You're
states
the
to
outlier.
keep their expansions in place?
Well, the first thing is we have to look at the fact that how can we be the best country in the world with the most expensive health care in the world? And so the way we're going to deal with it is we're going to open it all up. From the hospitals to the insurance companies to the doctor's offices to the pharmaceuticals to the PBMs, make them have to show us everything. Because right now, I can tell you, we take care of my parents. They're 87 and 90. My dad is in the hospital right now. When my mom was in the hospital, a nurse came up to her to give her a couple of Tylenol. And she said, I don't need them. And she said, honey, you might as well take them because you're going to pay for them anyway. When we got the bill from the hospital, no one talked to us about that. Right now, you have insurance companies and hospitals deciding what it is for us. We're going to take the
Yeah, you
patient
should
out
just
of
get
the
rid of
back
them all.
seat and put them in the driver's seat. We're going to make sure that just like when you get your car fixed and you go and they say we can give you a temporary fix and it'll cost this much money, or we can give you a permanent fix and it's going to cost that much money. We're going to go and make it transparent so that we can see everything so that they have to show us their warts. The second thing is we're going to pass tort reform around this country. I did that in South Carolina. Doctors don't give you those 10 tests because they want to. It's for the 90% chance they'll get sued. And then we're going to go and eliminate certificate of need in this country. I did that in South Carolina as well. That basically says if you have a hospital here, you can't have another hospital for X number of miles. They do the same thing for surgical centers, for nursing homes. We're going to put competition back in healthcare so that healthcare is fighting for the patient. That
is
way
just peak
services
capitalism.
go up and costs go down.
Governor Haley,
Brain rot
just a
right here.
15-second point of
What we need is more
clarification.
competition.
Would
That'll
you
help.
allow the states that accepted Medicaid
That'll help make
expansions
things
to
less
keep that?
So the
expensive.
problem with Medicaid is it needs to be sent down as block grants. Governors can best decide how to do that, whether they need to use it towards mental health, whether they need to use it towards support services. Right now, I would send all of that down to the states. The problem is they're only sending a small portion of it. They need to send more of that so that
Thank you,
states
Governor
can
Haley.
better take care of it.
Governor DeSantis, your response on whether you would allow Iowa and the other 39 states who accepted Medicaid expansion to keep it.
Well, I've spoken with a lot of folks here in Iowa, and we need health care that's accessible, that's affordable, and that's accountable, and particularly an emphasis on mental health. In every corner of this state, everywhere I've traveled in the campaign.
Dude, you're one of the reasons I have
concerned
mental
about
health issues,
with
dude.
Kids in schools,
And for a lot of other people.
that
You
are
and
coming out of
your
service
crew
to our
of
country, with veterans.
conservatism.
We're going to put a big emphasis on mental health. I've actually delivered on some of these things in Florida. We got accountability for the pharmacy benefit middlemen that are causing your drug prices to go up. So we have transparency and consumers pay less. And I just beat the federal government to allow the state of Florida to buy prescription drugs from Canada, which is 25 cents on the dollar what our prescription drugs cost. I want seniors to be able to do. And then finally, we need to upend this COVID and medical authoritarian regime that we saw going around this country during COVID. It's wrong to force vaxes like the COVID shot and say people are going to lose their jobs. That is not going to ever happen on my watch, trust
Governor
me.
DeSantis.
It was like that, though,
I think
before
I think what you
COVID,
do is
and
you
no one
augment
cared.
the program,
Because it
and
made
then let
sense.
states run the
You just
way
made it a
they see
culture
fit
war
to do. But I
thing.
can tell you this. Expanding Medicaid leads to less private coverage. It doesn't necessarily increase access to quality care. I want to actually people get good health care. It's not just about a sheet of paper if you don't get any good doctors
Thank
that
you,
gives
Governor.
you entitled for that.
Governor DeSantis mentioned
Like, no
mental
one cared
health.
about
Let's talk about that. There is a
half the
mental health
vaccines you
crisis
get
in
as
this
a
country.
kid.
An estimated 58
Or when you have to
million
get vaccines to go
Americans
to
suffer from some type of
certain
mental
universities.
illness. Governor Haley, you say the mental health crisis is a
What happened to
cancer
Twitch?
that no one
I got a
has dealt
copyright
with.
strike,
What do you
supposedly.
think is causing the crisis, and what would you do?
So my
to
account
fix
is
it?
Well, I
gone
think
for
we
48
saw it
hours.
exacerbated by COVID. I mean, with the school lockdowns and everything else, we
So,
see young
that's what we're
people
doing
now with
temporarily.
more anxiety, stress, and depression than ever before.
I'm gonna try to fight it, but we'll see.
1 in 3 people right now
I don't even
suffer
know
from
how-
mental health issues. But if
how much
treated, they can live a
how
perfectly
quick it would be a
normal
turnaround
life.
anyways.
The problem is we don't have enough mental health therapists. We don't have
But
enough
DeSantis has
mental
been
health
doing pretty
treatment
good.
centers. We don't have enough addiction
And both of them
centers.
been
And if you happen to be lucky
kind
enough
of
to get
punching
one of
up
those
at
three,
Trump too.
insurance
I'm
doesn't
kind of
cover it.
surprised
We have
in
got
a
to
way I
start
wasn't
dealing
expecting
with
at
this
least.
because it's become a huge
Like they
issue.
like
And
Haley
that's why
said
we need to have more telehealth so that people can get the mental
Haley
health
said
care
January
they need
6th was
right when they need it. We
bad,
need to have mental
and that the the election wasn't stolen.
So they can identify when a child has a problem, that they can get the help that they need.
So I guess for Haley, yeah, Haley's pro-democracy, I guess.
That's, again, why I want to move those federal programs down to the state level, because states know they need more mental health
American
support.
democracy.
They're not getting the dollars to do it. We don't need D.C. bureaucrats handling that. We need this on the ground so that we can get the mental health centers, get the therapists, and get the help that people need so that they can be healthy.
Therapy is so expensive. Cheapest I could find was
DeSantis,
freaking
you said
$90
this
a
summer
session.
that closing mental health institutions, a policy supported by Ronald Reagan, was a mistake. As president, would you restore federal funding to those mental health institutions?
Yes, we need more people in institutionalized settings, unfortunately. But, you know, Governor Haley mentioned, I think correctly, the devastating mental health consequences for these school closures, a lot of things that happened during COVID. I never recalled seeing her out there fighting the fight. I was on the front lines on that. Governor Kim Reynolds was on the front lines on that. We fought back against the biomedical
people
state.
had...
We were attacked by the media.
Yeah, because we were trying to be safe.
Pharmaceutical companies. We were attacked by the left, attacked by Fauci. We stood and we helped people. And Iowa and
We
Florida
helped
had
people.
the best
How many people died in Florida?
opening in the entire pandemic.
Did you ask them? Oh, wait, you can't because they're dead and you don't care.
In terms of mental health, I've run into veterans here in Iowa, and I think we have a significant problem with veterans.
I've been too nice today, I
particularly
think, on
post-9/11
both of
veterans.
them.
We
I
know
keep
the
giving too many
stats on
compliments.
suicide. It's really, really sad. And as a fellow veteran, as president, I have to put that issue on the front burner. We can't keep turning a blind eye to what's happening to our vets. It's not going to be done just through the VA, and it can't be done just by pumping people with pharmaceuticals. If a veteran has post-traumatic stress, you need more than just that. So we're going to use the VA to link veterans with resources that are throughout our country. For example, in Florida, we have an organization that trains service dogs to be able to be paired with veterans with post-traumatic stress. They understand the symptoms, they mitigate it, and you know what? The suicide rate is close to zero as a result of that. We got to think
pro
bigger
service
than these
dogs.
bureaucracies, and we've got to be there
I'm
for our
shocked,
vets and their
honestly.
mental health.
Thank you, Governor. Turning to the topic
thought that'd be some
of
woke shit.
climate,
I don't know.
2023 was the hottest year ever recorded on Earth, and Americans are already feeling the impact.
Well, we
Just
couldn't
yesterday,
record it back
the
in
National Oceanic and
1770,
Atmospheric
so it might not
Administration
actually
reported
be the
the US
hottest.
experienced 28 weather and
That's gonna be their
climate-related
response.
disasters that cost at least $1 billion last year, another record. Governor DeSantis here in Florida, Governor DeSantis here in Iowa, massive flooding has left farmers underwater. In Florida, rising seas threaten coastal cities. You have taken action in your home state to mitigate the problems of rising seas. But as president, would you do anything to deal with the underlying cause, which scientists agree requires cutting carbon emissions?
So on day one as president, we take Biden's Green New Deal, we tear it up and we throw it in the trash.
There's no
can.
Green New
It is
Deal.
bad for this country. We have to have
There is
reliable
none.
energy.
It doesn't.
And here's
He
the
even
thing,
said himself.
you
It's
know,
not. He
they
doesn't
talk
call it
about-
that.
Joe Biden has said that global warming is worse than a nuclear war. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, gee, John Kerry hasn't given up his private jet. Obama hasn't given up his Martha's Vineyard seaside mansion. I haven't seen Biden do anything to hold China
he's right
accountable,
here.
except making
He's
sure
correct
that
here.
Hunter gets his money. So these guys talk out of one
With
side
the private
of their mouth,
jets,
and
they
then
need to be
behave in
abolished.
another way, and I think that's wrong. But I also think that those policies would devastate communities, particularly here in Iowa. I mean, for example, he wants to mandate electric vehicles. That's going to be more costly. I think the
It's going to devastate
them.
him.
Bankrupt, but it's going to
Even if it does
liquid
devastate
fuels,
them
which is
now,
very, very
it's going to be more
important. We're gonna end up
devastating
having
in
rolling
20
blackouts
years
if they
when
need
everyone's
that
underwater.
Reliable energy
Then
production
what?
in this country. Florida's had a massive decline in emissions. Wasn't because of a single mandate. It was
But
because of
the truth of the
innovation,
matter is,
because a lot of natural
as long as
gas has
capitalism
replaced
exists,
coal.
we're not
We
fighting
do
climate
have
change.
Market-based solar, and it's a complement, but we cannot walk
So that doesn't
away
matter what
from
any answers they
reliable
said,
energy.
because it's not
And I
happening.
think about, here's what the left wants to do. They want to take away your freedom, and they want you to pay more.
If capitalism
for
gave a
everything.
shit about
We need you to pay
climate
less
change,
for
it would have
energy.
fixed it in the
We need to
70s.
make sure people can innovate. We cannot have these mandates, and they'll be gone.
These
the day I'm
corporations will do whatever it
Governor,
takes.
Just a point of clarification, 15 seconds.
to make
Recent
sure they don't
research at the
lose
University
their
of Iowa
grips.
ties these floods in Iowa to the rise in greenhouse gases.
And here's the thing, Jay,
let me
I
just
appreciate
ask
that.
the question. As president, would you do anything to deal with this underlying cause?
Innovate. And here's the thing. China is building 2 coal plants a week. You can do everything Biden wants to do, and you're going to have way more of what China's increasing it. So why would we be cutting off our nose to spite our face?
We've literally
China
drilled
is
for
the
more
problem
oil
here, and so
under
hold them
Biden than
accountable.
any
But
president
hold the
prior.
American people
Thank you,
to less
Governor. Governor
opportunity.
Haley, as president, would you do anything to deal with the underlying cause of the floods and other climate disasters, which scientists agree requires cutting carbon emissions?
I mean, first of all, regardless of what party, everybody wants to have
2
clean
coal
air,
plants a week.
clean
They're
water.
just
They want a world that they can pass
by the end
on
of the
to
year,
their
it's going to
kids
be a lot,
that's gonna
baby.
healthy and all
It's going to be
of that. But
100.
it's how do we do that? I think the first
300.
thing we have to understand is you don't deal in extremes. When I was at the United Nations, the reason I took us out of the Paris Climate Agreement was because President Obama had put all these mandates down on our businesses, but they didn't do anything to hold China and India to account. Those are the 2 countries we have to really go to if we care about the environment, that we go and make them be held accountable. The second thing is we'll roll back all of Biden's green subsidies because they're misplaced. Rather than putting anything towards innovation on what we can do on nuclear fusion and other things that reduce emissions, which there are things out there, to go and have everybody have to drive an electric car by 2035, that's not even smart. One,
I mean,
because which by the
electric
way,
cars by
Ron
2035. I
took
mean, that's a
Biden's
long
stimulus
time.
money and did charging stations all throughout Florida. I wouldn't have taken the stimulus money. But what
It's 11
that
years.
does is basically we don't have the infrastructure. And
But
I'm not
we
just
shouldn't-
talking
we
about
shouldn't be
charging
doing
stations.
cars. We should be
Electric
doing-
vehicles
we should
are
be doing
heavy.
trains
Our
and-
roads and bridges wouldn't be able to handle that if we did that because they're heavy in weight. And so we have to be smart about the way we do
Yeah, it's
that.
almost
Not
like
to
cars
mention
are
70% of the
don't
batteries
work.
in electric cars are made in China. So Biden gave this massive windfall to our #1 national security threat. If we're going to do it, innovate it, transition. And
See,
do
they're
it
talking
the
about like a
right way,
competition
not an
thing.
extreme.
They're like
Thank
talking
you. I
about
wanna
how are
turn
we
to
going to
the
solve the
issue
climate
of crime.
crisis? Well, we need to compete with
majority of
China. It's like
Americans describe
there's missing
crime
the
in the US as
it's just
either extremely
capitalist
or
brain
very
rot, dude.
serious. Recent data
Instead of being like,
shows
no, we need to work together as a world to figure this shit out.
states and cities.
But like I
something
said,
he could
like
potentially
capitalism
do under the Insurrection Act. Is
needs-
that something that you would do as
once
president?
there's
What I would do is first
like
of all,
coal
defund
companies, oil
sanctuary
companies,
cities.
they have
It's
too much
hugely
power.
important that we do that. That's where we're seeing a lot of crime. But the
And they will
second
do whatever
thing
it takes to
is our
stay
law
at that.
enforcement is demoralized.
That's why we'll
right
never
now.
get rid of oil.
Because if they go and they arrest someone for having a stolen
We'll
gun,
be in Blade Runner
it's
worlds.
demoralizing when they go through all that effort, put their lives
Unless
at
we
risk,
throw away
and then
capitalism.
you turn around and let that criminal go the very next day. Prosecutors need to prosecute according to the law, and we've got to start holding them accountable. When we bring law and order back to our cities, then that's when they'll be safe. You don't do it by defunding the police.
I thought we
You
were
don't
still on
do it
climate
by
change
just
for a second.
praising
I'm
the
like,
police.
more
You do it
cops
by having
equals
their
less
backs,
climate change?
making sure we passed the first body camera bill in the country in South Carolina to make sure that law enforcement felt like they could do their job without feeling threatened about them.
You really
doing
want
their
people to
job.
start
We
hating
have to
the
have
troops now
prosecutors
too? You start
prosecuting.
sending troops
We have
into
to
cities,
defund
people are gonna start really
sanctuary
hating
cities. We have
the
to
military
get
even more,
these
man.
stolen guns and drugs off the street, and the only
Unless
way we
you're
can do
hiring
that is
Kyle
when we empower
Rittenhouse
law enforcement.
people
Governor
I
DeSantis.
just
to
think
be in your military, which I guess
That quote
Republicans
from
would be okay
President-
with.
former President Trump is a little bit rich because he was president during the worst rioting in the modern history of this country, the BLM riots in the summer of 2020. When I saw that happening in Minneapolis, in Florida, I called out the National Guard. We had state law enforcement deployed. We said, you're not burning down our cities in this state. And you know what? It didn't happen. He sat in the White House and tweeted.
Yeah, when I
law
went to
and order,
Minnesota,
but he
I
did
said
nothing
it before. When I went to
ensure law
Minnesota,
and
there was
order.
nothing there.
As your
It was
president,
sad.
I will
We
never
burned
let
it all
our
down.
cities burn. You have every right to stop this runaway rioting as president. In fact, you have a duty. Now, Nikki Haley and I have a disagreement on the BLM stuff too, because she tweeted during this period of time that the death of George Floyd should be, quote, personal and painful for each and every American. But people in Iowa had nothing to do with that, or Florida or South Carolina. She was virtue signaling to the left. She was accepting the narrative, and she was trying to impress people who were never going to like us. I never bought into going after the police. We back the blue to the
Thank
hilt
you,
in the
Governor
state of Florida,
DeSantis.
and we have lower crime as a result of
Thank
that.
you. Governor Haley?
Yeah, that's why.
It's interesting that he did that. He put a
More
tweet
because
that was
there's a
very
bunch of
similar, but let me
70-year-olds in
tell you why
Florida,
he did that.
so they don't
First of
leave their
all,
houses,
we
or
had
the only thing
one
they
of
go
the
to, if they
worst
do leave,
two
it's just to the
racial
beach.
shootings. We had the shooting of Walter Scott, who was shot 7 times in the back by a dirty cop. We had
Anti-cop Haley?
We had a horrific shooting at a church where a white supremacist came in and killed 9 amazing souls. BLM, all of that, we never had to deal with riots. We never had to call in the National Guard, Ron, because when we had both of those shootings, we were able to pull people together. We didn't have riots, we had vigils.
But then we did
didn't
nothing,
have
though.
protests, we had prayer. We brought
We
people
prayed,
together.
and then we went
When
to
I
work
said
the
that
next
about
day.
George Floyd,
Okay?
when we turned around and had the worst shooting in a religious place that we had seen in this country, not only did I pass the first body camera bill in the country and keep our state together, not only did I move to bring the Confederate flag down, we came together as a state in prayer, and we had no division, no riots, no anything. We didn't need the National Guard because a leader knows how to bring out the best in their people.
Thank you, Governor. So you have been sparring on the campaign trail for months. We've seen some vicious attack ads going back and forth, and tonight we have had a very lively debate. On a different note, Governor DeSantis, let me ask you, what do you admire about Governor Haley?
Well, look, I mean, I think that, at the United Nations,
I like her
did think
pearls.
that she spoke out strongly on some key issues, and I appreciated that. I also appreciate the state of South Carolina. My wife is a College of Charleston graduate. Her parents live there.
No, you're not even complimenting her. You're just saying you like the state she's from.
There's a lot of great people there, and I think to be able to have been governor there is a great achievement. And
this question
I
sucks.
Really appreciate everyone I've gotten to meet.
They should reverse the question.
Governor Haley, what do you
admire
hate
about
the
Governor
most? DeSantis?
I think he's been a good governor.
Okay.
Wow.
So
That's
we're
it?
going to squeeze in
They're-
another quick break, and we'll be right back with more from the
Wait, more?
Republican
There's got to only be
debate
closing
here at
statements
Drake
left. There's
University.
no way they're going longer than 2 hours. I think he's a good governor. I like his perfume. So awkward, yeah. All right, we can't tune away because this fucking CNN thing will just pause. I still don't know, folks. Should I upload this on YouTube? Should I take the time to do it? I feel like, especially after the stream went down, it kind of sucked. But I don't know. I hope the energy's good tonight. Maybe this I should pretend that everything's fine. This is how the trolls win, right? As they see and they're like, look at them cry, look at them get sad. I hope it's been good. Maybe I'll upload it and just throw in there, hey, this happened. Sucks, but I'm hoping to at least get rid of it. I have a feeling I'm not going to get an answer. Because, yeah, Twitch literally had layoffs today. Or yesterday, or whatever day it was. Like 500 people got laid off. So I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get any response from them. Oh, man. No matter what, we'll do Stock King Friday. Don't worry. I just got to make sure I peel that copyright thing. Because I think if I get one more strike, then I'm just GG's. Which is so dumb. Can't believe I'm defending YouTube, but YouTube has a better system somehow. At least your channel doesn't get nuked. Yeah, I can't even go on Twitch now. It's crazy. I can't even watch other streamers. I don't get how that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I'm just logged out. It's so dumb. Like, okay, whatever. Let's say I did purposely copyright strike. I shouldn't be able to just stream then. I should be able to freaking still watch my people. They'll do that to me, but then they'll let like fucking fascist losers on the platform spew hate speech for 7 hours. Whatever. We'll be fine. Worst comes worst, I'll just start streaming on YouTube, I guess. Which won't be as fun, but yeah, Sock Gang this Friday. And then we're doing I'm hopefully doing a rare gaming stream. We're doing some Exo Primal because I want to play it because I got it on sale. Then Monday, I'm hoping to do the Iowa caucuses coverage. Going to break down how that whole system works, and then see how the night goes. It might be over quick. Who knows? Well, since it's caucuses, it's not like voting where they'll know right away. I don't think. Let's see if there's any like live coverage of that. Oh man, 30 seconds. This has gotta be closing statements. Because it's late for me. I'm in Mountain Time. East Coast time, it's hella late. No one's staying up. I think in Iowa, it's their Central Time too. So during the week, that's crazy. I can't even watch.
We're back live from Des Moines, Iowa, and the CNN Republican presidential debate. We now have time for closing statements, and we begin with Governor Haley.
First of all, I want to thank the good people of Iowa. I have campaigned for 11 months, whether it's driving a combine or holding a pig at a produce area, or whether it's the fact that we've met owners of bakeries and small businesses. You know, every one of them knows that we can't go through 4 more years of chaos. And if it's Donald Trump, there will be 4 more years of chaos. And we can't be a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. And we can't go through another nail-biter of an election. And if you look at the polls right now, going against Joe Biden, in every one of those head-to-head polls, Ron doesn't beat Joe Biden. Trump is head-to-head. On a good day, he might be up by 2 points. I defeat Biden by 17 points.
I mean, a lot of people defeat Biden. Like, literally any Republican can defeat Biden, I think.
That's House, that's Senate, that's
Biden is polling so bad.
That's a mandate to get our spending under control and get inflation down. That's a mandate to get our kids reading again and go back to the basics in education. That's a mandate to secure our borders with no more excuses. That's a mandate to bring law and order back to our country. And that's a mandate for a strong America.
The way they talk, it really does sound like we live in Mad Max. I swear to God.
I know we can do this.
Law and order. People are just murdering each other every second in the streets. I don't even go to work anymore. It's just too scary outside. God bless.
Governor DeSantis.
Prayers up.
Well, it's been great to visit all 99 counties here in Iowa. I've been able to meet so many
She didn't
friends,
say
and
DeSantisLies.com.
some of the best of America. Iowa's votes do not need to be corrected by any other state. You all know what you're doing, and we have an opportunity in Monday to really change the course of history. Donald Trump's running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues, your family's issues, and solely to turn this country around. I'm the only one running that's delivered on 100% of my promises, and I'm the only one running that has beaten the left time and time again, from the teachers' unions to Fauci to the Democratic Party.
Can you go after Twitch to get my account back, DeSantis?
Of bold colors that are putting the American people first. We can't run under a banner of pale pastels of the warmed-over corporatism, the likes of which is practiced by Nikki Haley. Freedom is on the ballot. Decline is a choice. We have it within our power to fix this country and to turn it around. I am asking for your support in the Iowa caucus on Monday, January 15th. I'll be a president that you can be proud of. And I promise you this.
Can't wait for him to get like 3 votes.
I will get the job done, and I will not let
3
you down.
points.
Thank you, and God bless you all.
Our thanks to Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley.
He's doing the fake smile thing again.
Governor DeSantis and Governor Haley, thank you so much, both of you, for being here tonight. Thanks to our audience, to our host, Drake University. For Dan Bash and the whole CNN team, I'm Jake Tapper. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Jake.
watching. Be sure to join us Monday, January 15th.
Can I watch this?
4 p.m.
Probably
Eastern
not.
For CNN's coverage of the Iowa caucuses. Anderson Cooper and Caitlin Collins are going to pick it up right now with more on the debate. See you tomorrow.
Damn, this kid immediately stormed the stage. Where's the security? Damn, they did in this little hall. I feel like there's like no security there. All right, well, fuck CNN. First off, awful live stream, which kept crashing, and then supposedly I got a copyright strike. So, but I know you're tired of hearing about it. Who won this debate? Who won this debate? I feel like just DeSantis. I mean, it's crazy. I never thought I'd see the day, but DeSantis won a debate. Granted, was he only facing against one person? Yes, but he got the job done, folks. He started off pretty good. He had a really good middle half there, and I think his closing statement was better. And he kind of just kept brushing off the lie, the whole lies accusation that Haley kept doing. For me, it's like Haley, I think, lost the debate because she just was trying too hard with the whole lying thing. She said, I think, like at least 10 times, DeSantisLies.com. It just fell flat after a while. They both don't have the Riz. We'll say that, right? But comparing them two, I feel like DeSantis had more energy. He was more specific in his answers. And yeah, I just think he knocked it out of the park. I think this is his best debate by far. And I think it just helped that he had more airtime. But you know what? That's how the game is played sometimes. I think he did it. Out of all the debates we've watched, I think this was the easiest one. I think he's the winner. I'm going to change this. I guess it's the 5th, but I'm going to say Iowa. DeSantis. I'm just going to do his last name. Okay, biggest loser, I guess, has to be Haley, right? And what else would it be? Come on, Jack. And then most crazy statement. I feel like no one said anything that crazy. I mean, compared to Ramaswamy, who's just absolutely crushed it in this award. I mean, the award should be named after him. I mean, does it count as crazy that Haley said January 6th wasn't good? Because I just feel like no one said that before. I could be misremembering, but I don't remember anyone saying that. I mean, there was some, anti-trans stuff with DeSantis, but it's almost, it's almost whatever at this point. He says it every time. I don't know. There's really no one. Can I do most crazy statement in the sense that Haley said DeSantisLies.com 10 times? To the point where she sounded more crazy because she kept bringing it up. Man, I don't know. I feel like I'm pulling at straws here. There's got to be one. I'm just misremembering. I mean, there's nothing that's really like crazy, right? Because it's like all the same shit for the most part. Like the like they say crazy things, but they're not like part of it's the execution. It's hard to compete with the GOAT. It's Ramaswamy. Should I just give it to DeSantis? I feel like if I had to pick between the two who said the craziest things, I guess it'd be him. Like I said, the execution wasn't as the same level as Ramaswamy, but fuck it. Did I do all caps for DeSantis? I did. Why not? Who cares? Well, I think that's it. Right? Any objections? I mean, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Except for this one. I mean, I just feel like any of them could have got it. Especially when it comes to the trans, for them, the trans issue, and the woke. I mean, he did talk about the woke Disney and stuff, which is kind of funny. I guess, yeah, I feel better about it now. All right, I think that's it. And I think there's another debate at the end of this month for New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember when. I think it was on... Was it on the 29th? Or on a Sunday or something? I don't remember. Let me look it up. Next Republican debates 2024. I swear. Wait, when was this posted? Oh, this is the 2020. This is for the presidential debates, which probably won't happen. When's the next one? Yeah, they host 2 of them. When is the second one? January 21st. That's a Sunday. Oh. If my Ravens are playing on Sunday, I don't know if I'm watching it. We'll see. Play it by ear. I mean, this one was fine, I think. Yeah, I think this one was fine, but yeah, I'm still just, I mean, obviously frustrated with the Twitch thing, but I'm glad we were able to make do best we can. I mean, maybe I'll throw the video up. I don't think it hurts to do it. I'll throw the video up, and I'm just going to edit tomorrow, though. I don't want to think about it right now. If I put it up tomorrow, maybe get some views. I mean, our big ones are going to be if we do get presidential debates. So as long as when those come out, because those do better when I do because even like the old ones got pretty good views. But all right, y'all, enough of me rambling. Yeah, sorry. I hope the stream was good. Sorry, I kind of got cut in half there, and hopefully I didn't ruin it too much. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, next stream will be this Friday, hopefully. Maybe on Twitch, maybe on YouTube. We'll see. But appreciate y'all watching, tuning in, all that good stuff. I'll catch you all around, okay?